Okay. But are we live now? For all of you who are not aware, I scheduled a stream to start at 3 o'clock. It is currently 3:31, and for 24 of those minutes, I was holding a conversation to myself. It was interesting. Unable to connect to chat. I need the chat. So let's see here. No idea why it's saying unable to connect, but we'll see. Hello, anyone there? Maybe I should reshare this link because there's a bunch of people that were waiting in that other one and they're just no longer there. But are we live? That is the question. That is the real question we're dealing with right now. Hello, everyone. Nice. Awesome. We're back. So, I've been gone and I have returned. Not to make it weird or anything, but a basically 2 year hiatus outside of the Ukrainian stream. You know, we've got a lot to catch up on. How's everyone doing? We got 7 viewers in right now. That's awesome. So before I realized that the stream wasn't working, I was having a great conversation. I thought you guys were talking to me. 500 years, it's felt like a while. I knew it was time to catch up. At least let's sit down. Let's all bring up our questions. Let's bring up our ideas, our concerns. Let's talk about what's going on in the world today from your perspective. We're all like minded individuals. We are all free thinkers. We believe in honesty. We believe in the truth. That's what got us here right now. That's why we're all here. Let's be honest. We're all here because we want the truth. We're hungry for what's going on. We're tired of narratives from people that we just can't trust. Anytime you dig into who's at the top, you're like, why are we putting our trust in this? So let's rebuild that connection that we have on a person to person basis. So I was confused. I thought the CIA was trolling you or something, lol. You know, I can't prove anything when it comes to sabotage, but my computer was sabotaged by the TSA. Maybe it wasn't a good idea to take my computer through the TSA. So there's that perspective. But it was demolished by the TSA. I did have several hack attempts. I've had at least two computers completely wrecked by intrusiveness. And at the very least, it was because if you talk about something that certain people don't like to hear about, all of a sudden you make yourself a target. So even if it was trolls, they still infiltrated and took everything down and made it unworkable, changing backgrounds and everything, leaving troll comments and the likes. So yeah, the last stream that I did was covering Ukraine because I had collected information starting back in 2015 about the truth of Ukraine. And so when that carousel came back around, I still had all that information sitting there and I knew that that narrative was just not going to be heard at all. So I thought, okay, at least let me re-inform everyone that the Ukraine is basically our blue wing of politics campaign, that when they have their people that they're trying to please, they wage campaigns in Ukraine and other places, and then when we have the Red Wing running things, then all of a sudden they shift it back over to um, places closer to home base, Israel. So, that whole thing. It's only what I talked about for 5 years straight on this channel. So if you know about it, you know about it. So yeah, like what are we concerned about today? What is on our minds? What are we observing in the world around us, our families, our friends, the environments in which we operate in on a day-to-day basis? What is it that's really concerning us? What is it that needs to be talked about? That needs to be heard? Because honestly, that is all that I'm here for right now with this platform, because it's obvious that what I did for 5 years, it was good. It was learning. I was sharing what I was learning. I was researching and I was sharing, and all I wanted to do with that is to inspire others to do the same. I didn't want it to be this, oh look, look, I am the person that gives you truth, because I who am I to you, right? So what is it that is concerning us in our lives right now? What is it that brings us all together today? Is it something that our government is doing? Is it the CIA? Are we concerned about metaverse? Are we concerned about COVID-19, that type of intrusiveness into our life? What is it what is the narrative that is prevailing or in the people that we interact with? And when I say we, I'm directly, whoever's listening, I'm asking you, what is the issues that are floating around us, something that we can sink our teeth in and try to bring light to that situation, and to hopefully bring out some truths that we can give back to those people and alleviate the suffering that we're all going through. So, fact of all time says, realizing all the vax people I know are suddenly, constantly ill, while me, my friend, who are not, don't get sick. So yeah, the vaccine is an interesting thing, and when it comes to talking about a scientific point of view, we're really not allowed to give our opinions, because if you're not seen as an official for the minds of most people, that makes it to where you even approaching them first requires you to present some kind of overarching deconstruction of the entire system they believe in. So people believe in the medical structure that we have, even though that medical structure, if you're here and listening, you realize that medical structure is just a profit machine. And when something is there strictly for profit or for gain, it is there to benefit somebody's pocketbook. So really approaching people that are dealing with vaccinations, and they're just willingly allowing these people to stick things in their body and use them as an experiment at the very least, because they're presenting things that have not been tested and verified to the level of truth that we would need to do anything. I don't stick anything in my body unless I have, you know, I have vetted it. If I don't know what it is, if it's not a common food that has come out of this earth, then, or a food or a water or a resource, I want to know what it is and why I'm putting it into my body. And most people don't even do that. They don't even start that type of thinking. They're thinking fear. They're thinking, obviously what I'm hearing is true. I lost my job instead of my soul. Me too, Blue Unicorn. I have lost everything because of sticking to the truth. Because what do you have? Because when your physical holdings outside of your family or whatever it is you're taking care of, that needs to be taken care of, what do you have? And all you have is your integrity, your faith, your spirituality, your ideologies, maybe a manuscript that you use, You have to stick true, or you will sell your soul. You literally will not be the same person. And as you're sitting there and you're forcing yourself to do these things, you will feel the life leaving you slowly, because you continue to do something that doesn't resonate with you at a core level. So I, again, yeah, respect, mad respect. If you lost your job, wear it as a badge. Just don't let it put you down, because those opportunities to take care of yourself, they will come back around. They always come back around. I have been blessed my entire life. My entire life is a testimony to that blessing. I'm lucky to be alive because of all the scenarios. So yes, do what your heart's telling you. Love thy neighbor. Teach us to look across racial lines. Yeah. Someone earlier mentioned that they were worried about um civil war, and a civil war is something that you can only manifest if you don't know about your neighbor, if you haven't spent that time to actually connect with the people around you. Instead, you have allowed a talking point, a talking head, an ideologue to tell you that that person is this thing, which is not true. It is not true, because you have not actually spent the time to interact with that person, unless they are actively doing something that is harming you, like smart meters. Like, there's two smart meters outside my window right now, and that pisses me off. I want to go outside and smash it with a hammer, but I can't, because they don't even belong to me. They belong to my neighbors. So for me to bridge that gap, to even tell them the concern, we have to connect, and they have to understand that I'm a real genuine person on a conscious level. And then we have that conversation about, hey, do you know that there's a smart meter outside that puts out the same type of radiation as a Wi-Fi meter? And did you know that it has been proven in different studies that that can be harmful for your health and actually promote the cause of cancer? So really, we have to connect on a person to person basis, and make friends, make community, um, instead of living in these little bubbles that the algorithms of the big tech corporations are sticking us all into right now. Swimming in Wi-Fi these days. It's not, you can't escape it. There's a book called um The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg. The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg. Read it, read it, read it. And if you don't read it, eventually I'm going to leak that stuff onto YouTube. It's just, I have the audio book. I have made it into audio file. So we're going to share some of that. But there's a book called Arthur Furstenberg. There's a book called The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg. And within that book, holy, like, you want to talk about good research? That is some great research. But what it encompasses is that it started much it started before just the Wi-Fi, because it started with the railroad systems. And in the railroads, they ran electricity through the railroads themselves, and even just that was harming people, because nobody had been introduced to electric. Just that creates an electromagnetic field. When you're running electricity through something, it creates EMF. So that, the power lines that killed so many people. The communication lines during World War One and the Civil War were killing people, because people weren't used to being hit by EMF. So yeah, we're definitely swimming in it. So again, that book, The Invisible Rainbow, highly recommend it. Taking a little drink there. So yeah, what were we talking about? What are we talking about today? Does anyone have questions? Does anyone have concerns? Is there something that you think would be important to talk about right now? Because we're all here. We have 21 people in here. Just imagine, we have 21 like-minded individuals all sitting in this virtual space that we have created today. and we could talk about anything at all. So the three-edged sword says, I have a serious and non-serious question for you. Pick let's start with non-serious and then we'll go into serious, since we just went from serious with the Wi-Fi, because that is a big, yeah, that's a big thing. And I'll let you type that real quick. Good to see you back. Well, it's good to hear from you, Utah. Um, you know, this was a place for me to vent. Tyranny Unmasked, because I am someone that obsessed about the truth. Maybe it was my upbringing, maybe it, it's just the circumstances, maybe it's who I am, but it is good to be able to talk about what we can't talk about, because there are these mental boxes in our society that we're not allowed to ask certain questions. We're not allowed to question the truth, because truth is honestly a subjective matter. There are truths, like the truth that I'm live streaming right now. That's a truth. I am broadcasting to 25 viewers we have right now. That is a truth. But there are things that people claim are truths that are really objective observations. And that is, who actually thinks about that? I always respond. Blue Unicorn says, I have a question. And he's just expanding on that. So it's raining really hard outside. So if you guys can hear the rain, just treat it as a rain ASMR stream. EA 15. I have been taking a break because I wanted to reconnect with myself, my family, my friends, and I really took a soul searching opportunity over the past 2 years, because your heart has to be in whatever you're doing, or you're going to stray away from the truth. That is something, I think, if we all think about that and what that means, that is a truth. That if you're not following where your heart is. So basically, I was regurgitating, because for 5 straight years I was keeping up with the mainstream media, and it was the same narratives just being regurgitated, to the point to where I'm like, if you really want to know, there's 5 years of that we could dive into. And I think I said my piece for 5 years. So that allowed me to regain myself, and geez, how many false flags, how many killings, how many wars, how many bombings, how many things that I had to get to find the truth in, that the mainstream media never actually did the work themselves. They just said, oh, here's the source, this is the white helmets, and they told us that this is this and that. And I had to actually do that work, and other people that were giving me info had to do that work as well. But that is a very hard thing to do, constantly feeding yourself with the negatives. That is a big load and a big burden to hold for so long. So I had to take the break. If you want the truth, you just need to know the true history, going back to the earliest form of human knowledge and philosophy. That there is truth in what you're saying there, because if you know your history, at least now you have a framework to work within. You're not dealing with a fantasy story, more or less, which is what our history is. The history that we were taught as a kid. I don't think any history can be 100% perfectly accurate, because you don't have the person who lived it there to vouch for their point of view. But I'm actually freezing right now. The AC just came on, but I'm going to turn my space heater. When you are taught this one history that was not only was it not true, it was actually very dishonest and very misleading, and tried to paint one image so heavily. It was one perspective heavy, if you get where I'm going with that. So 2 seconds. Keep asking questions. I'm turning my space heater on. I'm cold. You need a whole show on CERN and its effects on time and space. So has time announced that time? I mean, time has CERN announced that time's not real yet? That was something that I'm like, they're gonna announce time's not real. So which Mithraism, which was practiced by Romans before Christianity, which is Mithraism, which was practiced by Romans before Christianity. It was ancient Iranian humane spirituality and a vast astrological studies. Jews copied it all and claimed it as their own. I can see that. I can see that, but I wouldn't blanket statement that so heavily because you have so many shades of different um, people adding into that story. But with Rome, you're right. Rome is like this bottle cap of information because they were the heads of all these unified states, even though it was through force. And then you have the spiritual aspect all being framed for us by only either Christianity or you had the Islam as well. They there for a while they were the ones in control of the literature and saying what is true spirituality and what is not. Um, and then the Jews came in, and then when they took their lead, they built their boxes as well, and those boxes are still um, heavily used today. We'll go with that. So three edged sword says rephrased non-serious question. How would you define the Jesuits and their role in the NWO? So with the so here's my very broad view of Jesuits is every religion has its surface level groups. So you have your surface level Christianity, and then you have your esoteric version of that religion that goes more underground, and they want to control the narrative of the religion itself. So you have the Jesuits doing that. Um, but the Jesuits and most of those religions, the people that were pulling the strings within those organizations came from Jacob Frank era because they went from Sabbateanism and then they went out of the Sabbath after Sabbatai V died. They spread out. They went in underground into Islam, and then they went underground into Christianity, and they took advantage of people because they really are. These people are mentally sharp. I mean, that's you can't deny that. But where you excel in other places, it makes you blind to others. So they took advantage of the fact that people were being genuine in their spirituality and wanting to share, at least on the surface level. And then they're like, okay, let's cork ourselves deep into it. Let's create the Jesuit order. Let's create this and that. And I'm sure a lot of them are well intentioned. A lot of these organizations started with that, and they sucked in all the people that were enthusiastic about whatever they were learning and practicing in, and that kind of tainted it, pulled in to the black hole center. But I've not researched Jesuits recently. That's all just past that's just past mountains of knowledge that I've sorted through in the past. So the Jesuits are only one spoke in that wheel. Yeah, Blue Unicorn, I think that too. They're a spoken to try and pin it down, even to say, oh, it's Zionism, it's this or that. It's hard. It's just that in that group of people, there just so happens to be a very large amount today in control. So they're the objects of our concern in a lot of cases. That's just what our research has pointed to. It's not racially motivated. It's not even religiously motivated. There's a lot of people that come in that watch my videos or come into streams and they say, "Oh, because we're talking about this, you must be for my side. You must believe what I believe. You must think this or that." And that's not true. That is just a projected image. I am none of those things. I am just an objective observer, someone who wants the truth. That is it. Or a human being that wants to connect. I'm that as well. Hi, Annie. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in forever. Annie has been in here forever. I'm saying forever, forever. Like day one, Annie's been there. So it's good to see you from South Africa. He's not talking about you crops. Oh, you crops. Okay. Serious question from Three Edged Sword. Have you heard the song Ghost Love Score by Nightwish? If not, if not, listen to the live. Okay, so first off, I can do that. What is it about the song that is interesting though? What is it that that you've keyed into? Is it the lyrics? Is it the music video? Is it some kind of esoteric message? Sarcastic, serious? Yeah. But for anyone that's joined or in and out, again, this is a group of, right now we're sitting at 26 people. We're just having a real conversation with human beings that want the truth and want honesty. And we want to share and bring up our thoughts and ideas. So, everyone, the floor, you're free to ask questions. If it's a good question, we'll talk about it and we'll dig more into it and we'll just conversate. Excellent breakdown of the Ukraine conflict. I'm reading back up to Bro Truth's comment there. Um, I appreciate that, but I got a lot of help from a lot of people. There was oh damn, I feel horrible. I forgot how to pronounce his name, but there was a guy from Russia that actually helped me piece that together. So it much appreciated from his end there. I don't know much about him. I've had people. There's so many people that I've brought on to Tyranny Unmasked and shared with them, and it just so later down the road, 2 or 3 years later, they're like, "Oh, you must be a shill because this person was this and this person was that." I was just, we were just having a conversation and examining facts, and the facts of the situation in Ukraine was that the mainstream narrative was completely curtailed to make it look different from the true situation that was going on there, much different. So Monkey Blue Unicorn says, Monkey, I think. Oh, you're talking to Monkey. My bad. Monkey, I think. It it's 10 minutes of symphonic. Okay, so you're talking about that song. It's 10 minutes of symphonic metal, amazing skill, incredible vocals. It's like the Pirates of the Caribbean. Dude, I appreciate the music and I'll definitely listen to that. But I don't think I can really play it on stream or anything because copyright stuff. Serious question. What do you think of the new NDAA bill? If you get me a bill number, I will actually pull that up and look at it. Armchair. It's more like getting. I think people are scared to be awake. They won't run away because that's stealing from the master. I do think it's terrifying to be awake. Just think about it. Really, really honestly, let's sit here and think about it. Because there is this big disconnect from the way that we're forced to act in the mainstream social groups. So if you're in a normal work environment and you have a conversation with people there, yeah, you can have conspiracy talk, but to really have a true in-depth conversation with a person that isn't just them regurgitating something they've heard, because there are mainstream outlets for conspiracy. That doesn't make you all of a sudden someone that is being genuine to what they observe. To really have that is rare. It is extremely rare. So when you go from this perspective of the narrative that was built from you, and then you are unplugged, similar to a Matrix scenario, and you're unplugged, what is that like? That is traumatizing. And I know it's traumatizing because I put myself through situations where I'm forced to accept a radical truth that's completely different from what I believed. And I know I can relate. I'm a human. I've experienced that. Lakvia says, Lakiva says, being awake means following your pesky conscience or taking responsibility for your life. That is a fair statement. I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah, conscious. So what is consciousness? Um, you just think about that. We can't control consciousness. Consciousness observes, and it is the witness within us. I think that's why it's often referred to as the, the God on your shoulder, or the your inner truth. Um, but there's so many different points of view of looking at that. So everyone has their own way of putting it. So I don't want to put my ideas too heavily on that. I think that I think that died suddenly. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure I'm reading this right. I think that I think that died suddenly documentary has shaken a lot of people. So what documentary are you talking about? I'm not familiar with that one, but it's shaken a lot of people to their core. I showed it to my family, and they will never be the same. Um, if you're, it that can do that. If you have family members that are that trust you, and they know that you're honest and genuine, and the things that you share with them, you're sharing because you care about them. A documentary, a video, it might really plant that seed of curiosity within their consciousness to question, at least to start questioning what the truth is, because the truth is not always what people tell you the truth is. If anything, I hope my videos over the past 5 to ooh, loud lightning out there, um over the past few years, I hope it is sparked a seed within people to start questioning their reality, start questioning the narratives that have been fed to them. Died suddenly is the documentary video. Is died suddenly actually I'm going to quickly stick that in Google just so I can see what we're talking about. Died suddenly documentary, because I want to know at least the context of it. Directed by, man, it's so loud outside with the rain. Big storm. Is that about COVID-19? Okay. Is that about COVID-19 and people dying suddenly because of the immune taking the vaccine? Right. So the very thing that we were warning people about, because we were legitimately concerned about putting these substances into our body that have not been tested, that concern that we were all shamed for, that we were all told to feel bad, and to not only feel bad, in many situations around the world, we were persecuted and forced to lose our jobs, forced to lose it all in many situations, just for having concern, not even saying it's a conspiracy, not even, none of the like, just questioning that. It's now we're having documentaries coming out talking about how people are dying from it. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? All right, so what are we saying? Yeah, do you think vaccine shedding real or fake? Fear mongering. It's like that scene from Die Hard where Bruce Willis gets the cops' attention and then says, "Welcome to the party, pal." That's how it feels being the one who woke up. Or it's like that one movie where the guy puts on the glasses and sees all the obey signs, and everybody turns into a zombie, into a skeleton. Yeah, it is. It can be like that. It was like that. And it was very isolating. So sharing my thoughts on Tyranny Unmasked definitely helped me through my periods of that, because I feel like in my social structure around me, the people I love and care about and spend time with, I was the only one, and I forcibly stuck my opinion down their throats. I had to make a space for what I believe to be true. You have to. If you don't, you won't be able to speak your truth. Your throat will be shut off. If you believe in chakras, your throat chakra will be shut, and that will resonate through everything. You won't speak true to how you feel on the inside, and then that causes a whole number of problems. Thank God I didn't fall for that BS. Yes, thank God you didn't fall for that, Annie. You were early, but somebody who saw it pretty clear from the beginning. So thank God for people that saw it, even though it was tough. It still is tough. We don't know. The future is unforetold. Even though we have people that make things happen on certain dates and times, or that just happens, it doesn't mean that every turn of the wheel means that we're going to continuously have all this negativity that we see in our world today. We can actually plant the seeds and actually build that within our communities, everyone we interact with and talk to. Tom says, I'm a hard man to sell sometimes, and COVID cannot buy me. No, in fact, there's signs at the local store that says get your free vaccines, and I'm thinking, wow, it's free. Well, I wouldn't. I would not only will I not do it while it's free, I'm definitely not going to do it while paying for it. Was it? Did you have to pay to stick this into your arm? They live. Okay, so he says they live. Yep, exactly. Another one, but that scene, the meme for those just waking up now, like welcome to the party, pal. Also metaphor for just how far this movie has to reach the ending. Ugh, so long. Are we? Hold on, I'm confused. Are we talking about the documentary, or are we talking about the movie, which is our life, that it seems like we're a part of every single day? People also are affected by each other's hormone. Oh, yep, Jilla, yep. You're 100% right. Hormone cycles, especially with women, it all it all it affects. There's the one that sets it, and the ones that follow it, and I've heard about that. So and you have the moon and the sun and that cycle as well. That plays a role in things. People see these are really simple things that you don't learn in. He said no things. Yeah, especially with the vaccine. That's what you're probably talking about. But there's very simple fundamental truths that we are not told as a kid, or if we are, we're told it in a way that it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And that's about destroying the base. When you're creating a society that follows rather than is strong-willed and can build their own structure and live their own lives, you want to rip away the fundamental truths away from them. And understanding the cycles of you know um the moon, the sun, and how that plays on things, it takes away a lot of fear and confusion. So in the end, only 198 stayed strong and did not take it. When you say 198 out of, are we talking about the vax? 198 stayed strong and did not take it. I don't know which 198 we're talking about, but I'm sure you'll comment if you know. My job asked me, Tom Gunn says, my job asked me why I didn't get the vax. I was shocked, how do they know my medical history? Then answered them from not enough testing has been done. Luckily, some of my family hasn't been forced, but my sister, my brother-in-law, um, other friends and family I know were forced to take it. Like my best friend's wife, she's a teacher. She was forced to take it. Um, but I was willing to lose it all, and obviously, it's a tough thing to do for so many people. Hi, Marcus. It's been a long time. Yes, yes, for sure. So again, anyone that's jumping in, feel free to comment. All your comments are going to be thrown back onto the screen in front of you. So hopefully, if I miss it, just repost it. And if you have a legitimate question or something you want to talk about, Just throw it in there in the mix. Everyone's welcome. We're all like-minded people. We are all here for the truth. We're all here to share what we've experienced in this bullshit society and circumstances that so many of us are in. Once you unplug or start the process of unplugging out of the matrix, the mainstream narrative, it's very isolating. So while I'm here, that platform is yours. This is a platform for us. Certain comments are being censored. If you notice the comments are being censored, let me know which ones. I'm curious. I'm legitimately curious if we are being censored. It was interesting because I tried to start my live stream over an hour um ago and it wouldn't let me do it, and I was just talking to myself, and everyone was like, "Hey, you're not talking at all." Yeah, I'm actually familiar with Ken O'Keefe. He was when I was back doing Tyranny Unmasked on the daily. He was messaging me. He sent some support on Patreon. That was awesome. It was so yeah, I'm familiar with Ken O'Keefe. I don't know what he's done since then. So if he's gone off the rails or been used as a psyop, I do not claim that, like, we're best of buds or anything like that. So but he seemed like a very genuine person that was digging for truth, and he was dealing with geopolitics in the Middle East and breaking that down heavily. Oh, hey Raphael, I remember your name, seeing you in the chat. I was just concerned for mentioning the pan mic word. Okay, is that a word that YouTube will remove the video now? Are we not allowed to use the word pandemic? It was hilarious at first that it was called a pandemic anyway, when we were looking at the data, and the data was showing that it was no different than any, like, the years leading up to it. When we look at what legitimately could be pinned down as some people that are sick, and that's not even saying, like, why they're sick, but people with inflammation showing up. People every year get sick from inflammation, and the reason they get sick from inflammation is because they eat so much sugar and fake ingredients. Um, and our body is not meant to digest and process that. Most people are getting, what is it? You're supposed to have around, what, 20 grams of sugar a day, and if you are getting that, make sure it's natural sugars. If you're trying to do what's natural, but most of us aren't even doing that. So don't feel guilty if you're not. That's just something I've been working on over the past 2 years to try and not be a hypocrite. But the truth of the matter, regardless of if we're eating healthy or not, sugar, especially processed sugar, is not coupled alongside the fiber that it needs to be processed and digest in our body. And this book, I made a very important connection with this book written by Arthur Furstenberg called The Invisible Rainbow, where it talks about how electromagnetic fields being emanated from things such as 2.4G Wi-Fi and now 5G Wi-Fi and all sorts of different locations. Even my computer, the power supply is generating a large electromagnetic field, so I keep it further away from me. But those EMF fields prevent your blood, the heme in your blood, from processing the sugar. So that's just like heme, short for hemoglobin. But the heme in your blood breaks down the sugar so you can breathe, so you can have oxygen in your blood supply, and that's what that's what bees do. They break down sugars in their body, and the 5G are killing them because they can't breathe. They can't get oxygen in their body because the fields prevent the cells from breathing. The interruption prevents them from breathing. And if you extrapolate that out into all the different causes of sickness and the symptoms that come alongside of that, then you start to understand why everyone is so sick. So you got to think about it. There's so many different wings and arms of what I like to call, not because of religious reasons, but just because we can wrap our mind around it. I like to call it the beast system, because a beast is something that is wild and is just running rampant, and it is just doing whatever its impulses are telling it to do. And if we are presented with all of this food in supermarkets and stores and things that are loaded with um, processed sugars, which don't have the fiber, like I talked about before, that helps your body break it down, then all of a sudden you're loaded up with all the sugar. And now your oxygen can't breathe, and it's being hit by radiation everywhere you go. Just about anywhere you go, unless you're on top of a mountain, um, is going to be under the effects of electromagnetic radiation from cell towers and from power lines and from 5G transmitters. Shoot, even satellites. So, if you believe in satellites, but um, it is totally making us sick. I can't tell you. I'm not going to even touch COVID, but I know this is a fact that what we are eating, hundreds of grams of sugar, because carbohydrates turn into sugar, is making us all very, very, very sick. It creates inflammation. Your body can't process it all. Oh, just I deal with all types of points of view. Edge, you would be shocked, and I try to respect them all. So again, any questions? Any curious minds? We're all here. We're all here to find the truth. We're all here to dig into any questions we have, and I want to make sure we clear everything out and reset mentally here, so we know where we're at as a group of like-minded individuals, all 25 of us here, that are now conversating about truths. So Canada, China, Philippines has no choice. Yeah, a lot of these countries have no choice in the matter. That's the thing. I think we need to bring more attention to the fact that countries are under the effects of what other countries do, and they have no say so in that. Because one law says, "Oh, it's okay, we can do this," but even though it's okay according to the law, it doesn't mean that it's not affecting all the other countries. Um, he says, "True, the high fructose, and the other things too. Like I actually drink water, too much soda. Laugh out loud. All I drink Dr. Pepper all day. LOL. Then I only eat once a day, but all all this fake high processed food sucks and sucks. Really, to be honest, what you want to do is drink something like coconut water, because it's pretty decent. And when you're drinking coconut water, don't drink the soda or the super sweet ones that are meant to. You know, it's just like drinking a soda at that point, because it'll have 20, 30 grams of sugar in it, and you're like, well, this is super sweet. But coconut water is pretty good for you. It holds its structure very well, and that's what you want from water. Water that holds its actual its actual structure. When you get even bottled waters, it's not coming out of a naturally flowing stream, and the magnetic properties of water, you want it to hold that structure as much as possible. So getting water from fruits is actually a really good thing to do. Fruits that have water in it, because the water holds its structure within the body of the fruit. And then when it comes to food, things you're eating, um, make sure it's natural if you can, and if you can't, make sure you're dealing with what you can handle on a daily basis. I can really dive into it. I have a lot of notes and research to go through, and a lot of information on that I might eventually talk about if we're all curious about that here in the future. Yeah, natural sugar is not bad for you. Again, you don't want to abuse anything. You don't want to do like more than 20, 30 grams a day if you're doing on the daily. There's always exceptions, but you don't want to overdo it. Most of us do. And with artificial sweeteners, I'm going to go ahead and lead you in on the fact that artificial sweeteners are just as bad, if not worse, because now we're dealing with things that cause cancer and carcinogens, um, such as dextrose, maltodextrin, sucralose, a lot of BS in our foods that most of us aren't aware of. It's really bad. It's really really bad. Get food from your like your neighbors are growing potatoes, take them potatoes. Your neighbors are making kale, take that kale, carrots or what. That's where you want to start. You want to get the fresh ingredients and at the very least try to mix that into your rotation of what you're eating, uh, because that's the closest you can get. I'm not gonna say there's so much food out there that even if it's natural, it's now been altered through just how we've tampered with our world, the genetically modifying it and changing it up to favor one trait or the other. Cool, I could learn a lot about what to eat because I have been only eating what we can afford, and that means cheap, bad foods. LOL. Most people eat too much, and I know that because I used to eat too much. I eat way less food than I used to eat. I used to eat 3 to 4 times more than I eat now. Our body is designed and or evolved, designed, evolved, however you want to look at it, over time, and it has learned how to take care of itself. There's something called homeostasis, and your body goes into that state when you stop putting food in it and say you fast. Um, and when you fast, not only does it go into ketosis, it goes into homeostasis, and it starts to create more of the cells that you create when you're growing as a kid, out of your spine, out of your, I forget what it's called. The name is escaping me. I have so many notes, and I'm so bad at keeping up with notes. But when your body is in a state of homeostasis, it starts to regenerate itself. It starts to heal itself naturally. Oh my God, we are all born with an ability to heal ourselves. Yes, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? It is absolutely insane. I am in the healthiest state I've ever been, and I'm still drowning in a soup of EMF that um I can't currently change. But at least I feel great. Even over the holidays, I ate family members' sweets that they made, and all of that, and that threw my system into this. It had to work really hard because I put sugar in other things because I didn't want to hurt people's feelings, and also it's like, oh, it's so tasty, it looks great, but I didn't get sick. I always get sick during the holidays, but I didn't get sick this time because I changed up my diet on the day-to-day basis. I'm highly conscious about what I'm putting in my body. I'm not I'm not just mindlessly eating sugar or sweets or snacks the same way that I used to. It's not. It's I come from a position of I don't want to be controlled by certain things. So I'm gonna read some more comments. Yes, we really need to help re we need, yeah, homeostasis, very good. Exactly, we got to work on the factors. Coca-Cola made of natural sugar tastes better than the typical mass-produced Coke made with high fructose. That I will say, yes, natural sugar tastes better, but Coca-Cola in itself, just look into it. Just look into Coke. Look what you're drinking. If that is something that you love to drink, I don't want to bash you for it because I used to drink Dr. Pepper. I like Dr. Pepper Chair. I used to drink it every single day. Um, Horrible for me. I had to stop. Had to stop. But that was a me conscious. I had to listen to my heart's decision. Thanks. I'm very oh, you're replying to German. Sorry. How does how does weed help homeostasis? There is no natural THC in the human biome, so it's not its natural homeostasis to add THC to it. So if I'm not mistaken, I did read somewhere that THC is a naturally, like that does occur in the human body naturally, or at least in the foods we get. Just not to the degree, because when you think about THC, now you're talking about this plant that it derives from, which is marijuana, and that has been heavily genetically modified. It, if you think about it, they take the they take the female plants and they breed them together because they produce more THC when they do that, and that's the desired trait, because you get more THC, you get higher. Um, so there is some concern with that. I'm not bashing the use of weed or psychedelics, because I'm guilty of doing them all too. I've experimented with myself, my body. Um, but there is a case to say that even that has been tampered with heavily. So the crazy levels of high you can get on these 20, 25, 30% THC things are like, it's not natural. You got to be honest. Receptors, yes. We also have blood toxicity that reacts with the brain, causes drunkenness. It doesn't mean, yeah. Look at brain derived neurotropic factor, BDNF. That's an interesting thing to look into. Um, it does sound like just more labels that science has put on it, but at least they're starting to acknowledge that, hey, if we treat our body in this certain more natural way, um, we definitely appear to be more cognitive and more intelligent, and we can string together our thoughts, because most people that are poor eat the cheap stuff, and the cheap stuff is what takes up all the capital, all the marketplace in the superstores. Let's take Walmart in the United States for an example. If you walk into a Walmart and you walk down these aisles, what are you going to see? 99% of it is going to be junk processed foods. And even if, like, so we have this thing in the United States where we want to put oil and sugar in everything. And do this test. Go find out yourself and read labels at a Walmart. It's gonna have some kind of oil, or it's gonna have some kind of sugar in it. And most of those oils are not naturally derived oils. If you just go look at grapeseed oil, go look at canola oil or vegetable oil, or all these oils that are in everything. Those oils are highly refined, highly processed, and they're forced into this concentration of, I don't know if it's trans fats or saturated fats, or which is the one we're looking out for here, but it does have this non-naturally occurring in the human body a concentration of fats that your body's like, whoa, what is this? And not only do we eat it in everything. Everything has oil, because oil and sugar together taste good. It's like they know, the big consumer companies, they know what the people like, and so they target that. And if you target something in specific, then what do you know? You just have to keep upping and upping the dosage. And then you get to the point to where you walk into Walmart, you're just going to eat everything that has what's going to kill you in it. What's slowly tearing you apart. And where I was going with that is that there's so many poor people that are in these systems made by these big companies, because they have the money to control the education and feed their systems that they create. Um, yeah. So you get stuck in it. You get stuck in it because it's so easy, it's so accessible and cheap. There's a lot that can be said about food. A lot of gripes. A lot that I've learned. I had to learn to let go of all the addictions that I had, all the things that I love so desperately. HEC stands for human embryonic kidney cells. Yeah, you would be shocked. Look at all these different soda companies, or candy companies, or Skittles. Skittles has titanium dioxide in it, I think, or monodioxide in it, which alters your DNA. Skittles, yes, yummy. Um, we've got Pepsi that has embryonic flu or it has embryos used from human beings in their original patents. Just you, man, you dig into it, you're just gonna be disgusted. Just fair warning. But if you want to know the truth, why you're suffering, that's what consciousness is there for. It's there to lead you to the truth so you can end your suffering. That's what all the monks and all the gurus and all the people they're talking about. They just, they're not using human terms. They're using spiritual terms. I guess it is human terms, but you know what I'm getting at. Just that's what and more. Okay, tongue tied. Sorry. Excuse me. I need some water. I'm gonna make the announcement again. Anyone who has questions, who wants to bring up a subject, anything that's concerning you right now, maybe something that's in the mainstream media that your friends and family are being affected by. If you have anything you want to add to this conversation, we are sitting at 24 people now. 24 people. We're all sharing our concerns and in truth, and we're having constructive conversation. Andrew Tate arrested. Okay. Is Andrew Tate just going to like be the new spotlight object person now that Alex Jones is no longer this character that can be looked at as the bad guy? Alex Jones is just looked at as crazy now. Because I know a little bit about Andrew Tate, but I just not super interested in Andrew Tate. Cheers, thanks, my friend. All right, you have a great night, Annie. It's good to see you. Hopefully, I'll be back sometime. Take care, my friend. It's good to see that Kevwort Almacian has been still putting out content, because I remember when his channel was just a few hundred people, and I had ran across it while I was collecting information about Syria and the false flags that were going on in Syria to try to get the United States into another ground war, which didn't work out. So congratulations to everyone that shared the truth and got everyone upset about another ground war where we were fighting with Al Qaeda. I found his channel and help spread his information out there, and it's good to see that he hasn't been taken down. His info's still out there. But we lost so many people in the information war. So many people went down. We've lost so many good people. Not only did they lose platforms or an ability to reach people, but there's people that literally died because of the truths that they were not willing to let go of. Next thing they know, they will take aluminum oxide or tell us aluminum oxide is a good thing to spray. Yeah, you got to be careful what the MSN is telling you is good. Sometimes, which is crazy, is they'll take something that was conspiracy at one point and then feed it back to you. It's almost like they have no dignity or care. Nick says, rip dad, rip GPA, and dozens of other people. Sad, orange, man bad, Alex Jones, bad Andrew Tate, anyone based and willing to stand up against the establishment the way they are treated, like CCP, China, not USA. Yeah, people have been treated very poorly. That's actually why I'm curious. Like, what is the narrative now? What is the narrative since I've been unplugged? I've been unplugged more or less. It's hard to say unplugged in our society, but unplugging my consciousness from caring about what the media has said at all and not forcing myself to digest it anymore. It's been a nice year or two of not having to concern myself with that or dig into a false flag and Yeah. Ooh. Them's the beans. So much censorship. You touched when we were breaking down these false flags as they were happening, like because it's so easy. It became so easy to spot it because you had all the pre-work, you had all the groundwork that had to be done leading up to it, and there's so many that we crack down on just by being observers and pointing something out. I don't think we realize that there's so many that were prevented because anything that is in the darkness will come to light. That is a fundamental truth. But yeah, guys, this I did the stream for what, a half an hour by myself talking to myself, and we've been going for about an hour. So I don't want to burn this bridge too far. So if anyone doesn't have any questions, if we have any questions, anyone that's came in, you're willing to ask questions. I want to make sure everyone that's here and has heard the stream has at least had an opportunity to say what's up, share their ideas, their concerns, because honestly, this platform is for us while we still have it. So I'll give you guys a minute or two to type up any questions you might have, and we'll have concluding thoughts. And I want to also make sure that the thing isn't broken like it was earlier. Nick says, so true. I've cut the cable, haven't had TV in years. I get news. Anything that I want to watch media wise, I'll target it specifically. But I don't like being conditioned anymore. I'm tired of being conditioned subconsciously. And that's one thing that I observed about myself during being Tyranny Unmasked and sharing my truths and observations through research and evidence. In a way, I just kind of became the shadow of the mainstream media. They did something and then I had to react. They did something, I had to react, and I eventually that kind of got to me. I didn't like being the shadow. Even though I understand that, a shadow is necessary to see yourself sometimes. So, I stayed true to my heart and played that role as long as I could handle it. They all equal to the same dirty path, says Tom. Does voting mean anything? No, voting in our society means very little. It means, if it means anything, it means you believe that the system works. Okay. Nick says, "Okay, cool, sounds good." Yeah, Nick, it's good to actually talk about this stuff again in a situation that is not forced. Like, I actually wanted to sit down and talk to you guys today. I didn't feel like the media is killing the world today and I have to get up and save the world, which is not true. I'm just sharing info. I see Trump and Joe Biden on the same path. Of course, they the left hand and the right hand. They don't. The left hand doesn't talk about what the right hand is doing, or they don't care what the right hand is doing. They work remotely, but at the same time, they even if there's no conspiracy or under the surface connections, which we know there is. But if there wasn't, you have them symbolically representing a heavily left leaning and a heavily right leaning state of mind, which is something that we see in nature. We see the blue and the red. Um, if you look at a magnet has a blue and a red pole, and that it's just the Earth has one as well. Um, Everything is like that. Everything has a left and a right side. It's polarity. Polarity happens. That's just reality. We have to have polarity or we wouldn't be able to compare and contrast items separately from each other. So you have these extremists that believe in what, who knows if they believe it or not, But you have extremist over here and extremist over there. That is the history of humanity until we reach a mutual understanding of each other. You have somebody's gonna be on one end or the other. Am I still going to put content on Patreon? Maybe on Patreon I should do these live streams where we can sit and chat and talk. Uh I'm not exactly sure what to put on Patreon. What would we want on Patreon? What would be something that we're like, "Oh, that's cool, that's valuable." Because I'm all down for ideas. Originally on Patreon, it was like I was going to use it as a conversation base as well. I think yeah, that was the original intent. Right, Nick. Yeah, the right hand and left hand. It's just common sense, really. We have a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere in our brain, and then we have the seat of that electromagnetic pathways that are flowing left and right. And if we box our thoughts into one category or the other, that flow of thought and idea doesn't happen naturally. When we say, "Oh no, we can only look at it through the eyes and the lens of liberalism," or "we can only look through the eyes and lens of conservatism," then you're boxing yourself in. And that's what those platforms are there for, the people that want to box through this world, the cube people. I, for one, am not a cube person. I am a human, living, conscious entity that is here, just like all of you, all 24 or 5 people. Other platforms, I use BitChute as a mirror, just so I have you know, a I have a backup from, so I can just keep up with the videos I have and know what was removed and what wasn't. It's just a good reference point. So I'll actually pull up BitChute and share it in there for anyone that wants to go look at the history of Tyranny Unmasked, see what's in there for you. So Tyranny Unmasked. I'm shocked BitChute's still a thing. Okay, here we go. I found the channel. Hey, we actually have like over 1,000 people on BitChute, which is kind of crazy. Because it's just like I don't post BitChute specific videos on there. I guess I could if I have something. The last video I specifically shared on BitChute and not YouTube was there was a false flag, and they had a guy on CNN that was pushing a narrative, and the things I had to say about that whole situation were not, they would definitely been removed from YouTube. What do you suggest to watch? Know more about communism and Jews? When you're asking suggest to watch, are you saying something that's a question in itself? Why would you want to know more about communism and Jews? Just a question. And I'll put the Patreon on here too. Why not? Somebody might want to throw some money. We'll put Patreon down. Or is that, hold on, is that the right link? No, that's Patreon messages, my bad. And thank you to everyone that has been a Patreon, because we've had Patreons throwing us $1 to $5 here and there for sharing info for years. There's some people I'm just like, did they forget? Because I didn't post the video for a year or two, and the money was still coming in there. You know, it's appreciated. It's a small amount, but it's most definitely appreciated. We are all suffering and poor people in this horrible society we're a part of in a lot of ways. But we're making it better. We're making it better by being true to who we are. We're being true to ourselves. We're being true to our own truths, our own realizations. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. But when it comes to the simple things, man, The small hats are the hybrids. They're not completely human. Is that what Tech Priest is saying? Well, I really can't comment on that. I can't comment on that because I don't have any info on that. But it's an interesting point to point out, Tech Priest. It's definitely an interesting thing. So, are you not seeing my comments? What? Let me see. Unz review is okay by Unz. Hold on. I did see your Unz thing. So, people are afraid. Fear is bad. Have courage. Stop censoring yourself. Um, what is Unz? Are we talking about in Ukraine? I think that's something I saw in Ukraine. Or are we talking about Ron Unz? What do you think about Kanye? Controlled opposition, maybe? Okay, so here's my honest opinion about Kanye West. You ready for this? You ready for it? And then we'll go to Ron Unz. Well, actually, let me talk about Unz for 1 second, so Jilla can expand. But I haven't kept up with Ron Unz. So I really wouldn't. It wouldn't be fair for me to comment on him in any depth. But if you have anything interesting about Ron Unz, feel free to, you know, point me in the right direction and we'll talk about that. Kanye is fake. He is a real person. Yeah, old Ye is a real person that exists in the scope of the media. But he's important. He's important to analyze if you care about the media at all, because you have this person, and his whole life has been recorded now. We can go back and observe him. The ego, which was Kanye West, it carried him throughout his musical journeys. And within Kanye West, you can tell he was a genuine person who wanted something real out of society. And what he kept finding was always upsetting, and that is being that you can hear it in his music. He's upset with society. Even when he's making hit songs, he's making his concerns known with the mindless people that listen to a lot of his music just because it's being fed to everyone. And he's coming to this self-realization in this process of being a superstar. And there was a documentary on Netflix about that was made by his friend, the perspective of his friend. Whatever conclusion that came to, I don't care, but you can watch it and you can see the development of a character. And then when you see the development of a character and you then turn around and you self-reflect on that, you're like, oh crap, I can see just how damaging this would have been to come to these truths and realizations if I fell into the position that Kanye was in. And now we're seeing the repercussions of that. Kanye is sitting on the truth, on a lot of truths, and he's trying to handle that as best as he can in that MK Ultra type environment. Yeah. And yeah, it obviously he is a distraction. All things on the media are a distraction to some degree. But let's be honest about him. He's an example of us. If he can't say certain things and we can't say certain things, he's being used as an example. He's setting that precedent and setting that fear in the minds of people. I think he's a real person. That's it. I see everyone as real people. Could he be co-opted? Sure, everyone could. But when we look at him, just look and self-reflect, and you're like, oh, okay. I see now. I can see. You can see what is acceptable because everyone's talking about him now, and you use him as the object. You're no longer thinking about like what you can and can't say. You see how others think about Kanye and how they portray Kanye and this and that. He is an object now. He's the object so we can observe what we can and can't do. And there always has to be some oddball in the media to be used in that way, really. because nobody wants to be the Kanye. Like nobody wants to be the one that's ostracized and looked at as the crazy person, and everything they say is now associated with craziness. There's a reason why I'm Tyranny Unmasked and not something else, because the mask disassociates the persona, and now you're just speaking. Now I'm like free to speak. Like I'm just speaking as an ideologue or an observation. That was really how Tyranny Unmasked was meant to be. It wasn't supposed to be about the person. Every time this happens, they use it like that's against him. Now it's yay, yay, man, bad. Yeah, it is yay. Yeah, that's what he goes by now. That's cool. Hello, everyone. Hey, passing traveler. Anyone else had conversation, any topics, anything else we want to throw in here before we shut things down? Because I do actually have to hop off here within the next like 8 minutes. I'm gonna stop it at 5. That's gonna be the hard deadline. So any questions, throw them in there. You want to say hi? Want to ask me about something? You saw a video. I'm actually shocked nobody's asked me about the documentary that I made. What I forgot what it's called. It's called Sabbatean. Yeah, the truth about Sabbateanism. That documentary, it blew up. I think what was it? Who is the reptilian guy? David Icke. He made a documentary covering a similar thing. And then all of a sudden everyone was curious about it, and so they were searching it up, and then I got an influx of that on my channel because I had covered it years prior. Um, but I never made the second one because the second documentary, holy, uh, first of all, it's so touchy. I was hoping that people could get the message from the first documentary and in looking at history, and then you see how that plays out, and then you start to understand why our social structure and our controlled outlets are the way they are based off of that look into a specific group's history. But everyone wants the part 2. Everyone wants part 2. They want me to break down like World War II and World War One and all of these massive wars, and you know, I don't know. I don't know if there'll be time for that or not, but if it happens, it happens. But I literally every day I got a comment saying when is part 2 coming out? Because, it went from Sabbateanism into Frankism, and then from that it spread out into the Jesuit order. It spread out into really everywhere. Modern day Zionism and those core ideologues that came from Sabtai V, which was embracing the opposite of Judaism at the time, which ended up which ended up making him basically the Antichrist. So then you have that type of ideology ingrained into people trying to just make the craziest things in this world happen, regardless of is it harming people. That kept on going. It's still going. We're still seeing the repercussions of that. It was such a strong shift in our history that caused a lot of issues. The truth about Sabbateanism. If you want to watch that one, I can link it for you real quick. The truth about Sabbateanism. Oh, really? My video doesn't pop up. That's interesting. So when I search up the truth about Sabbateanism, that's one thing. YouTube shadow bans and blocks you in the search results. It doesn't matter if it's one of your most viewed videos. It's still not going to pop up at the top, even though. Yeah, algorithms. God, don't even talk about TikTok and Yeah, I'm grabbing the link for it real quick. It's got 33,000 views. Oh, how fitting does it have 33,000 views? So I'm going to drop the link in the chat for anyone who has no idea of what I'm talking about or the context of what was just being said there. But yeah, we got four more minutes. We got 4 more minutes. So all 18 conscious individuals that are here want to talk about the truth and they want to get to the heart of the matter of different things. Feel free to drop your questions before I shut things down here at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. Central Time. And that, again, that link is in the chat for anyone who wanted to check out that documentary. It gives you something to do after the stream's over if you're bored. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna actually link that book, the Invisible Rainbow, because I know at least one of you are gonna go and check this book out, and you're gonna tell me about how crazy it is after you've read it. I'm gonna give you the Amazon book link once I find it, and eventually, if no one talks about it, I'm gonna start leaking it. I'm gonna leak it on YouTube. And if the author tells me to stop, then he tells me to stop. But the info's good. There's so many times where I've shared things that other people have said, and then they themselves take it down. So I was like, oh, okay, you don't want that truth out there. I'll let you get your money. But that book, it is worth the purchase. But there are ways. If you can't afford it, there are ways to find it without spending money. Or you can make an Amazon account and then unsubscribe the free trial account and get it for free. I think you can get it for free, but it'd definitely be worth it. There's a wealth of knowledge about EMFs and electromagnetic fields. That and the food that we're putting in our body are probably the most important things we could possibly research right now. Hey, I just bought this book for Christmas, but still didn't have time to. Oh, you actually got that book? Yeah, it's a good book, but it's gonna make you feel icky because you're gonna realize just how ensouped you are. So, good thing you. Oh, you just found the book and just bought it. So it's just a straight up synchronicity that's like, oh, I'm talking about it and you bought the book the other day and you haven't read it yet. Well, this is for you then if that's the case. Read the book. I listened to the audio version of it, by the way. So what I do is when I'm working or doing something, I like to put in some headphones and listen to audiobooks so I can inform myself while I'm also doing mundane tasks. You saw you saw a video about it. Yeah, well then if you understand it. But yeah, the book is definitely worth the read. We've got 1 minute left. 1 minute. Say your final goodbyes. I'm going to be heading out here. I've had a great time. I don't know the exact next stream, but this was a good enough stream. We had good conversation, and like say if something big in the media happens, I might do a stream and we can just chat and conversate about it. But I can't promise you the next time I'm gonna stream. Maybe it'll be like once a week, twice a week, every now and then. We'll see. But if you want me to keep doing these streams and you think it's like, wow, like now we can talk, feel free to send me money on PayPal or Patreon. That it's always a good incentive. It's always a good incentive that you're enjoying it. All right, guys, I've had a great time. I will see you guys later. Everyone, Nick, Annie, we had so many people. We've had dozens of people that have been here for years. So it's great to see all you guys. Keep sticking to the truth. Listen to your heart. All right.